Cavalier faithful, welcome on into the Cleveland Pulse YouTube channel. I'm sure you've been on Twitter. I'm sure you've been on YouTube and you've seen draft prospect videos. I wanted to do something a little bit different because of where the Cavaliers are at with pick 20. There are a multitude of prospects that could be chosen down there for the needs of the Cavaliers. So I didn't want to put them all together. I didn't want to do standalone videos. I wanted to talk more about the philosophy of this front office, what I will be calling the post-LeBron front office. So this is their seventh draft together, post-LeBron. 2018 all the way up until 2024. Altman at the helm with this front office, making selections for the future of the organization. So we have a sample size here. And I know you guys are going to say, another video of you just going at Kobe Altman the whole time. No, I'm not a huge fan of the guy. That's just my personal bias. I'll put that out there right up front. I know other people have different opinions, but what I wanted to do was look at every draft pick individually on a graded scale. So 100% is an A+ draft pick. Spoiler alert, I don't think we have any. Might be a hot take, might not be. You guys are going to let me know in the comments on all your opinions on these things. So 100% to 55%, a complete F. I'm going to talk about each individual selection, what I gave them as a percentage, as a grade, why I gave them that grade, and then what led to the aggregate score. And that is how I will base this front office's grade for the draft. I want to put that into perspective because it gives you guys out there not only my opinion, but you could go through the same thought process and say, hey, is this a credible front office just based on your opinions to be making a good selection at 20? I'm not saying they can't. I'm just saying maybe the numbers, albeit opinionated, tell a different story. So, like I said, 100% to 55%, A+ to an F. Let's get started here. 2018, Colin Sexton, round 1, pick 8. I gave him a 75% flat C. Didn't contribute to winning basketball in the Cavaliers, was part of a rebuilding process, eventually traded for Donovan Mitchell. He was a top 10 pick. I gave him a 75%. And I'll make sure to keep track of all this and throw graphics up on the screen, and then we'll talk about the total average aggregate score at the end. Moving on to the 2019 draft. Darius Garland, round 1, pick 5, so a top 5 pick to start off the 2019 draft. I gave Darius Garland an 80%. And I know a lot of people are low on him, but a B- I think is appropriate. He's been an all-star. He's shown growth throughout his years. It's not simple. It's not easy to, have hits in the lottery. But if you're also looking at this from an objective standpoint, a lot of these draft picks are weighted in the favor of the front office. We've had a lot of lottery picks. We've had a lot of first-round draft selections. So there could be a whole nother addition to this system, weighting picks more than other picks, second-round picks versus first-round picks versus lottery picks. There's a lot that could go into this. This is just the baseline structure. So an 80% for Garland. Dylan Windler, round 1, pick 26, F, bust. 55%, first-round bust. Albeit a late bust, but 55%. 2020, Okoro, round 1, pick 5. Another selection in the top 5, back-to-back years in the lottery, as we all know. I gave Okoro a 70%, and I almost gave him a 65. By the way, only did by intervals of 5. Wasn't going to get into anything more detailed than that. 55 up to 100, that's it. Not 2.5s, not 2.75s, none of that. So, Okoro at a 70% mark, C-. I think that's appropriate. I think a lot of people would agree on that. You expect to get a starter in the lottery. I know we've tricked ourselves that, that draft wasn't very good. That draft was not that bad in hindsight, 3 or 4 years later. So you expect to get a starter in the lottery, in my opinion. Sorry if you disagree. Mobley, 2021. I gave him a B, round 1, pick 3, 85%. We've had only success since we've drafted him. Obviously, he's been a part of the more complete team, but young defensive phenom. We've seen some offensive flashes. I think he's clearly the best draft selection out of those 4. That might be a hot take. He's definitely a better pick than Sexton Okoro. There's probably a handful of people who would argue Garland was a better selection. I personally disagree. just because it's an all-around sport to me. Garland can score. Garland can pass when he's not turning the ball over. And, Mobley is – I'd rather build around Mobley than Garland if I had to make a decision. That's part of my reasoning there. Let's keep it moving. The 2022 draft, which I still maintain is pretty egregious and just shows how the 2022 draft all gets overwritten this year. And it got overwritten in 2023 and so on and so forth. We'll talk about it, though. Ochai Agbaji, round 1, pick 14, another top 15 pick. I'm not going to grade him. I gave him a not available score, NA, because he never played for the Wine and Gold, part of the Donovan Mitchell trade. And, I don't think it's appropriate to rank him as far as how good or bad the front office drafted him, if that makes sense. So I don't have him in this aggregate. There's 10 draft picks, including him, since 2018. Since the Sexton pick, there's been 10 draft selections in the post-LeBron era of this Cleveland Cavalier franchise. It's not like I'm going off 2 or 3 guys here and saying, this front office sucks. We're into a double-digit sample size onto, the 2024 NBA draft, another first-round pick coming up. So no score for Agbaji. Khalifa Diop, round 2, pick 39, 65% I gave him. Isaiah Mobley, round 2, pick 49. I gave him a 70% because he actually has seen big league minutes. He has been in the G League, and he did play for us a little bit on the main squad this season. So I have to give him a better grade than Diop. And Travers, I give him a 65% as well. He was the 56th pick of that draft, I believe, in the second round. I still maintain there was no reason to use all 3 of those picks. Second-round picks are maneuverable in the National Basketball Association. Luke Travers will not be seeing the court for us, in my opinion. Khalifa Diop will not be seeing the court for us, in my opinion. Isaiah Mobley will be lucky to have a role. Amani Bates, who we'll talk about next, will be lucky to have a role if you're going to keep this roster composition around. You can't have everyone eat. Moral of the story in the NBA. It's not a 53-man roster. It's not like the NFL. And then wrapping it up here, Amani Bates, round 2, pick 49. I also gave him a 70%, similar to Isaiah Mobley, because G League candidate this year, played some minutes for the big league squad. Not consequential minutes, not minutes that made a difference, but I have to give him a better score inherently than Travers and Diop at the end of the day because they've contributed to the big league roster. So average all that up, take the 9 scores that I gave because, like I said, you subtract Agbaji, didn't give him a grade, never played for us in actual NBA basketball. The aggregate score after you average all 9 of those individual scores is a 70.55%, which is a C-. So with all of that being laid out, in my opinion, this front office has around a C- grade for all of these selections. Like I said, plenty of first-round picks, multiple lottery selections, plenty of guys in the top 15. It's not like they've had to maneuver with 20th pick every year. There's been lottery guys in here, and honestly, there's been some good luck. I know that you have to be a little bit lucky to draft well and to build rosters in the NBA. No one's saying that that's not the case, but Mobley falling to us could have not happened. It really couldn't have. Somebody could have, somebody in front of us in that draft could have selected him. We could have ended up with somebody else. I think we were extremely fortunate to get him in that draft. I think he has the potential to be the best player out of those 3 from an overall standpoint when you're talking about Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, and then Evan Mobley. So a lot to think about there. I want to hear your guys' scores down below. Go through and think about every single draft pick. Who did I miss? Who did I get wrong? As far as, do you think Garland should have been looked at 85 or a 90? Maybe you think that some potential has to do into it. Maybe you give a guy like Amani Bates a higher score because he could provide some sort of need and fill some sort of position for this team. I gave Travers and Diop 65s because, the potential is still there. They're going to be associated with with the organization, with the franchise. I don't see them ever playing, especially with Bates, especially with Craig Porter Jr., especially with this 20th overall pick this year. still hung up on that draft, as you guys can tell that we used all 3 of those selections in the second round. But yeah, Sexton obviously traded. Windler no longer with us, but still plenty of guys under control here, which is, at the end of the day, what you want with your draft. Guys that are young, that are controllable, that you think you can build the future with. So to wrap things up here, C- grade for this front office in 8 years of drafting 10 selections, with the 11th selection on the way at the end of this month. Let me know how you think I did, and make sure you hit that like button, subscribing, throwing your comments down below. We'll see you guys for the next one. Peace.